Hello, everyone. Welcome to the iText webinar on low-code PDF generation. My name is Karin, and I'm happy to welcome you all. Good morning and good afternoon, because we've got quite some people joining from Asia and quite some people joining from Europe. So all very much welcome to this session on iText. You can already see Erwin Buggenhout. He's our technical product manager, and he will be sharing more details on our latest version of iText. Before I hand the microphone to him, a few practical items. First of all, we're recording this webinar, so we will be sharing, perhaps Erwin, you can go to the next slide. We will be sharing the recording of this webinar in an email probably tomorrow, so you'll be able to view the recording at your own pace, or you can share it with your colleagues. You can also share any questions with us if you have any. We will have a Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions for Erwin, yeah, feel free to share them via the chat or the questions tab here, and we will cover them at the end of the webinar. Feel free also to share your thoughts on this webinar on iText on social, just hashtag iText, and we'd be happy if you could do that. Then I think that's it for my bit. Erwin, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that introduction, Karin. So it's a little bit of a rainy day here in Helmarden city, where I'm sitting in my home office. I was kidnapped by a bunch of kids a couple of weeks ago, and they keep me in the attic ever since. So that's why you see this spectacular settings after me or behind me. But hey, I've got content this morning, I've got connectivity, and I've got coffee. So that's all I can ask for, right? Or maybe just a little slice of cake may be interesting. I'm going to stop sharing my webcam so we can focus on the screen. So there we go, webcam gone. And so we can dive into the actual content of the session this morning. So basically, as we promised in the introduction, or in the invitation that we send out to you guys, we're going to build a business case for low-code PDF generation. I think that's the most important thing this morning. And then obviously we're also going to walk you through iText, our own low-code platform. And well, we're going to do that through a live demo in which I will focus on the new features that were introduced in version 1.3, which we launched about a month ago. And I definitely hope that we also have time to have a look into the near future and see what we have in store for you in version 1.4. And there's, I definitely hope there'll be time for Q&A. So stop me in time, Karin, so we can have that Q&A session. I think it's important that people can ask their questions. Before we zoom into all of that, let me just stop for a second and talk a little bit about iText. iText is often referred to as the company that brought PDF to the backend. And that's actually true. I mean, it's about 20 years ago that the founder of the company came up with a PDF library, or a developer library to create PDFs. And that was very innovative at that point in time. And well, ever since that point, iText continued to be an innovator in the PDF space, so to speak. So we work closely with the PDF Association, for instance, and the ISO committee. So we are shaping the PDF standards together with a couple of other partners in that field. And it's fair to say that we paved the future of PDF, in fact. But today we're not really going to focus on our developer tools. Well, I can see that the cake has arrived. That's good on the slide there. We're not going to really focus on the developer tools in the session this morning. We're going to focus on the high convenience tools. Still about the developer tools, I think it's fair to say that this is still the core focus, or the main focus of iText. And it's definitely the things that most of you in this room, and definitely all developers in the room will know iText for. So as I mentioned, we started our code base about 20 years ago, and we took the time to really perfect it to turn this into a very comprehensive and very mature set of tools. So I think you could say that everything imaginable concerning PDFs is possible with iText tools, whether it be generation of PDFs, manipulation, conversion, rendering, optimization, redaction, debugging, signing, you name it. Actually, we have developer tools to do that. Now, in recent years, we have actually extended our focus just a little bit to also create a couple of focus that are not fully, a couple of tools that are not fully developer focused. And that also contain components that can be used by non-technical people. And one of the add-ons for our core library, iText PDF2Data, is such a tool where you can use templates and everybody can build them. I built one myself though, so it's very straightforward. It's definitely idiot-proof. Where you can basically create templates to extract data from PDFs that you expect to come in. But obviously in this session, we're going to focus on the flagship of our high convenience tools, which is iText Dito. iText Dito is actually a data-driven, template-based, low-code PDF generator. So that's quite a mouthful, a data-driven, template-based, low-code PDF generator. So let's zoom into that. Let's break it apart just a little bit. So I mentioned that it's data-driven, and in fact, that refers to the fact that the entire workflow of iText Dito starts with data. It doesn't really matter where the data resides, whether it's in databases or you collect it through web forms. What you should be able to do is capture that data in a JSON file. And once you have that JSON file, you can hand it over to Dito, and that's where the fun starts, really. The next component, I told you that it was template-based, is our templates editor. So the JSON data that you collect is actually, or the structure of it is actually presented as a tree in a side panel on the template editor, and that template editor runs just in the browser, so it's very easy to use. And you can create data bindings by just simply dragging and dropping fields from that side panel into the actual canvas where you design your templates. So that's point and click or drag and drop, whatever you choose. And furthermore, you can obviously lay out your template as well, and your layout can be driven either by using style sheets, like CSS style sheets, but there's also a WYSIWYG experience where you can insert text and images and tables and whatnot using a visual designer, and then set properties through a properties panel. We also have wizards to define conditional content. I'm going to show you a couple of those wizards later on, but also, for instance, a wizard to help you comply with, for instance, accessibility standards. So yeah, it's quite a it's an experience that non-technical people can use to build amazing templates. I also mentioned it's low code. Well, up to this part, there was not much coding involved. And in fact, the only 2 lines of codes you'll ever need in Dito are the 2 lines that you have to write to instruct our API to generate a PDF with your data and your templates. And practically that API comes in 3 flavors. There's the native Java application, there's the Docker image, and then there's the command line interface that we also offer. So that's more or less the architecture of the iText Dito framework, but I promised you a business case. So let's rephrase that and reword that a little bit into a business case and talk about 4 reasons why you should consider low-code PDF generation. The first thing, leverage data wherever it resides. Actually, iText Dito is a very straightforward and simple way to leverage data that you may have or that you may have access to. And I think it's fair to say that in this day and age, data is, for many companies, a very important, if not their most important asset. So Dito is actually just another way to help you make use of that data, put that data to work, and use it into PDF documents that are very engaging. So that's basically the first thing. Use your data. You could argue that that's the case for not only low-code PDF generation tools, but for all PDF generation tools, which is definitely a fair statement. But we'll get to the low code points later on. Ditto is, of course, an iText product, which means that it stands out both in terms of quantity and quality. Quantity in the sense that we're continuously focusing on performance, and we keep on benchmarking our tool against other products in the market and make sure that we are among the fastest and most reliable tools to generate documents, PDF documents, and also definitely in high volumes. So if you look at the customers that we have for Ditto, they include banks, government institutions, large utility companies, and so on and so forth. So these are companies and organizations which are in very document-intense industries. Quantity is one thing, quality is something else. Of course, the generated PDFs meet all quality standards. That's quite obvious, but there's more, of course. For instance, I talked about the wizard that we have to make sure that the documents that you generate live up to or comply with accessibility standards, and so these things are in more and more ecosystems are really a requirement. So accessibility standards, I mean, PDF UA, the Universal Accessibility Standard for PDF, that basically lists a number of requirements for your PDF to make sure that it can be read out loud by screen readers. Okay. Coming to the low code points, of course, low code is a massive time saver. The developers in the room will surely agree that PDF is quite a complex format. If you have to low-level code a PDF file, it will probably take you forever. And of course, libraries like the developer tools that iText offers will already reduce that development time drastically. But if you really want to bring it down to almost zero, then a tool like iText Ditto is definitely a good investment. One of our customers actually reported that they can do with Ditto in a couple of hours what used to take them, well, weeks using other dev libraries. So as a matter of fact, you can replace a lot of the development time in your document automation processes. You can replace that time by design time. In which case developers can actually safely pass on a lot of the work, a lot of the chore to create those templates to business people. And that seamlessly brings me to the fourth point, and that is empowerment of business users. You probably know that we live in the age of citizen developer. So more and more business people without coding skills work with tools, low-code tools that really empower them to take ownership of their own business processes, their own workflows, with less and less dependency on IT, which I think is an interesting evolution. Sometimes, as an IT person, you hate to give up control. Well, in other scenarios, you're happy to pass on a chore to somebody else. And also an interesting thing is that typically other departments, well, today it's pretty often the case that they have larger budgets even to spend on automation than the actual IT department. So, okay, guys, so enough PowerPoint, I would say. Let me get into some live action. I get a demo scenario worked out for you in which we will show a couple of things that are new in the 1.3 version of iText Ditto. So the scenario starts from a phony company that we came up with, which is called Infinite.com. They produce windmills, and well, they offer some services around those windmills. And at some point, they want to generate PDF invoices. Now, the invoices have discounts. That's one thing. And the discounts are not for all customers. Some customers receive a discount, other customers will not receive a discount. So what they want in their documents is that discount to show only for those customers who actually get a discount. UK customers and US customers get slightly different terms. So we're going to build something conditional in the invoice template that makes those terms a little bit different depending on the country of residence of the customer. And something else that we want to do is include an invoice details section where we will repeat all the line items from the main invoice table, but we will split them out into two subtables, two subsections, so to speak, two subforms if you want to, where the line items are split up by type. So there's real products in there, and then there's services like installation and so on, and maintenance of the windmills that have been placed. And we're going to split those out into two tables. So products on the one hand, services on the other hand, and calculate some subtotals for those sections. And then obviously they want their Infinite.com wants their templates to be PDF UA compliant. So they want to make sure that they can be read out by screen readers. So that's what we're going to do in the demo. So let me just get out of this presentation, hit escape, and let me get into Dito. So what we are looking at here on the screen right now is a template editor. So you have an overview of available templates, and I have my invoice template right here. So there's input templates, there's output templates. The focus right now is on output templates. So these are templates that will render into PDF documents once we generate files. There are some resources that we use, like for instance, this logo image is a resource. And there are some style sheets, external style sheets that we brought in, or well, there you go. So we have a special style sheet for a zebra stripe table and so on and so forth. And then there's the template elements tree that shows an overview of practically everything that is in this template. On the right side, we have our toolbox, which contains all of the things that we want to add to this template, like rich text, images, subforms, tables, you name it. And then we have the properties panel that shows all the properties of the item that we are highlighting right now. So it's this discount thing that we are starting from. And so I mentioned that some of our customers get a 10% discounts, other customers will not get a discount. And so we want to make sure that the discount shows up conditionally. We can preview a template anytime we want to. So let me just do that. And to be able to preview that template, you actually need samples. Data samples. And I have two data samples available here, one for a customer in the US and one for a customer in the UK. Now the guy in the UK is the lucky one because he gets a $8,865 discount. And our guy in the US is less lucky because he doesn't get any discount at all. So what we want to do, or what we want to see here, is that if we would generate a document for this customer, then we would like to see a discount row in our table. So let's preview that. And let me scroll down a little bit. And indeed, we see the discount over here. So the 8,000 and so on, discount is printed over here. If we would run that same document for our US-based customer, let me just quickly do that. Then you see that there is no discount at all. So we see subtotal, tax, and grand total, but no discount. Something else here, in the terms and conditions, you see that it says this text will appear conditionally for US-based customers. And then there's the first line of the national anthem of the US over here. And if we would generate the document for the UK customer, it would be God Save the Queen instead. So let's have a look at how we did that. By the way, you see the dollar signs here for the American customer. For the British customers, we also have everything in dollars, but we could have easily created conditions to show pounds instead of dollars there. Okay, but let me get back into the editing mode, so we can see how we build those conditions. It's very straightforward. There's no real complex logic or no code writing whatsoever. So to add a condition, you basically go to data mapping mode, which is the second field over here. And what you'll see on the right-hand side then is that you have data connections, and those mention your samples, but also your conditions are here. And once I get to that tab, you immediately see that my discount row shows that I actually have a condition on this row. If I scroll further on down, you can also see that some substrings here of this rich text element that contains the terms and conditions also have those, or also are highlighted as being conditional. How do you build such a condition? It's very straightforward. If I click the edit condition icon over here, what you can see is that you can either do it through syntax or you can do it through a wizard. And then you just simply select the field that you want to use in your condition, and you can select that from the list of available nodes. Sorry. And then you can use that field as a number or as text. Choose your operator, and then choose your value. And that's basically it. That's how it works. It works exactly the same way for this customer country thing, which is in fact a text-based condition rather than a number-based condition, but it's the same thing. Obviously for text, the operators are a little bit different. And I should mention that also in syntax mode, you have more operators available. Like for instance, the concat function is available. Sums, products, and so on are available. Size, which is a counter function or operator, is available, and some logical operators as well. So you can actually combine multiple conditions into one here. Okay, so that's how you build those conditions. Very straightforward. The start of the process is that you select something, and then basically select a little bit of text, and then basically hit this double arrow icon here that will start a condition wizard for you. So there were more things that I wanted to show you in this template. For instance, splitting out the product by product type in the invoice details section. Let me just first of all show you that in the preview. So if I scroll down to the second page here, we can see invoice details, and you see that it starts with wind energy products, and there we see all of the wind energy products, so the real products, the windmills. So there's this turbine, and then there's the classic Holland mill. And if I scroll all the way down to the next page, so we inserted a page break between the two categories, we see all the services like transportation, installation, mounting, quarterly maintenance in a separate category. But as a matter of fact, we just once again looped all of the line items of the invoice. We just split them out. Let me show you how to do that real quick. So scrolling down into the template, I'm going to take it down over here. You can see that I have subforms here. One subform for products, and these are actually repeating subforms. What I did is I bound that to this data binding to the items. Yeah, and if I just click over here, I can see how to do that. You just select items here in your list. So basically, this is what I do. And then I repeat the element for each entry. So just one click, and then you create a loop on an array, basically. And the new thing here is that you can filter that loop. Either you write that filter like that, or you just use, once again, the same wizard to filter your loop, to create your condition that will filter your loop. So basically what we did here is look at the product type field, use it as text equal to windmills. So all of the windmills will be shown in that sub loop, so to speak. So we did the same thing here for the professional services. It will say service over here instead of windmill. Looking at the time, I'm going to cut it a little bit short here, but there's also a capability of creating a or using those filtered conditions or filtered loops into a calculation. So basically what we did here, for instance, is create a sum of all of the items of a certain product type, namely the windmills, and then do the sum of all the line item amounts of that subcategory. Same thing over here. What we did is the size. So this is basically a count of all the elements in the sub-array. So a size of all the items of the product type windmill. And we did the same thing over here, size of all the items of the product type service, and so on and so forth. So that's basically how you do those things. Final point before we return to the presentation is the PDF UA wizard. So let me just show you how you can make sure that you create a document that is readable through screen readers. It's very straightforward. You just switch the mode to from PDF to PDF UA, and then immediately the tool is going to start telling you what you need to do to make sure that you comply. So first of all, it needs a language. So the document needs a title, or the template needs a title. It also needs a language. So the screen reader has to know in which language it has to read this out. Okay. So let's apply that. And then it's going to go on and look for other issues. And you can see all of the requirements if you want to for PDF UA. And then you can also review the warnings one by one. So what I have over here, I can go to the actual elements that I see over here. And one of the things that is missing here is an alternative description. So what I need to do, it's an alternative description for an image over here, this image, which is highlighted, as you can see with the blue rectangle. I can indicate that this is a logo. And basically, that's all I need to do. Now my document or my template is PDF UA ready. So that was what I had as a demo. Real quickly, before we go to Q&A, iText Ditto 1.4, which we expect in July 2020, will support barcodes and QR codes. So that's something to look forward to. And we'll also have the capability to format data conditionally. So we saw the insertion of data conditionally today. What we will have in July is also formatting. So for instance, if you have negative numbers, you want to show them in red, that you will be able to do that in the 1.4 release. Okay, so let's move on to Q&A. You guys have any questions for me?
Hi, Erwin. Thanks for sharing this demo and these insights. We did indeed receive a few questions via the Q&A and the chat. I see actually we are almost running out of time, but yeah, let's take a few moments to answer a few. If we can't answer all the questions, then for those people we do apologize, and we will get back with an answer to you as soon as possible. Erwin, perhaps the first question, someone is asking if it is possible to nest conditions into other conditions. Is it possible to nest conditions?
That is perfectly possible. So you can have a condition that is built inside of another condition. For instance, if you have a text that will show up only for people that or customers that live in the UK, if within that condition you want to show something specifically only for the people of London, you can do that as well. So that's possible.
Okay. Thank you. Then a few people have questions regarding pricing. What does the pricing model look like for iText Ditto? Is someone asking? Where can we find the pricing for the new iText Ditto?
So I'm not a salesperson. So for a particular or specific pricing for specific projects, I definitely want to promote having a chat with one of our sales representatives, which we have in all continents basically. But model-wise, there are different options. Typically, we look at yearly subscriptions, so we offer yearly subscriptions rather than perpetual licenses. And so there's two options. Basically, either you go for a volume-based subscription, where we look at the number of documents that you produce on a yearly basis, a prediction of that, and that will be the basis of your license. And there's multiple tiers, multiple volume tiers, and we can check with you which volume tiers works best for you. So that's one option. Another option is where you basically serve or basically go for an instance-based pricing, where we check how many servers you're actually, or how many instances. Those can be servers, those can be Docker containers, for instance, but places where the thing is deployed. So that's another option, and then we price per instance rather than per volume.
Okay, thank you. I see a few more questions coming in. Let's see. Okay, someone is asking if iText Ditto is available in the cloud or if it's only on premise.
Well, we do not offer at this point a fully managed SaaS environment where you just would use it as you would use Facebook. Maybe we will do that in the future, but right now that's not an offering. But all other deployment options are available. So you can run it on your own premises in your own infrastructure. You can run it in a private cloud, and we can definitely help you set everything up.
Okay. I see a question. People asking for the slides. Yes, we will be sharing the slides and the recorded webinar afterwards. Let me see. Do you have time for 2 more questions, Erwin?
Yeah, sure. I've got all the time in the world. I still have coffee.
Okay. Is it possible to take the template generated in iText Ditto and use it programmatically to generate multiple PDFs of a similar kind?
Oh, that's quite a question. So,
Did I repeat it?
yes, please.
Is it possible to take the template that you generated in iText Ditto and use it programmatically to generate multiple PDFs of a similar kind?
So yeah, so basically you probably mean that that it's a bulk operation rather than just a one-off. Absolutely. So you can basically, so there's 2 lines of code that you use to instruct the API, and what you do there basically is you indicate which where your data lives. Or how your data is coming in. That's one thing. You also indicate which template package you want to use for the generation of the PDF file, and then you define what the path is to the output. So where you want to store the generated documents, and you also have to reference a license file as well. But that's the only thing that we do there. And obviously you can send as much data as you want and generate as many documents as you want at the same time, if I understood the question correctly.
Okay, well, we'll reach out to everyone as well who asked the question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then perhaps a last question. Someone is asking regarding the template format. So what is the template format saved into? Is the template a JSON itself?
The template itself is actually part of a package. It's a .ditto package, which is a compressed archive. It's a zip file actually, and the template is basically HTML. So what we do in the back is convert HTML to PDF. We have tools for that. Obviously, it's in the back we're using PDF HTML on top of iText core. Yeah, so the templates themselves are HTML files.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Erwin. Then I would say we'll end the webinar here. So for everyone who submitted the question, we will get back to you shortly with your answer. Any further questions, don't hesitate to contact marketing@itextpdf.com. You also find here the URL for the 30-day trial of iText Ditto. And we would also like to announce already our next webinar, which is going to be held end of May, so next month. And that's in collaboration with the PDF Association. We will focus on PDF security, encryption, and digital signatures. So you can already sign up now. Just go to our website, to the event section, you'll find the webinar there. Then I would say thank you all for joining today, and we hope to see you next time. Thank you, everyone. Thank you also, Erwin, for the presentation.
Thanks for having me, Karin.